left the jerkies this morning. Seeing them $100 bills or them $1,000 bills. $100,000. What would I do with $100,000? My wife could do something with it. I guarantee you that. Called her last night and said, now I don't want you to get excited. And I said, but I've made the final 5 in the FLW. She said, don't get excited. She said, ain't first place $100,000 in that tournament? And I said, yeah. She said, and you're fishing against 4 other people? I said, yeah. She said, well, how much you get if you don't catch nothing? I said, well, the least amount of money you can get is $10,000. And there was a big, long pause on the phone.
Well, those are some of Dwayne Horton's thoughts here on the final day of the Walmart FLW Tour stop on Kerr Reservoir in North Carolina. When this event started, Carr Lake was already 10 feet above normal, and now another foot per day. It's only making the fishing more and more difficult. Shaw Grigsby, Randy Blaukat, Charlie Reed, Robert Graham, along with Horton are our 5 finalists today, and trust us, that's them under those rain suits. We checked. And after 3 hard qualifying days, getting up to this point, not one of these 5 guys is going to let just a little bad weather affect their performance. You like good fishing, you like good competition, grab yourself a seat, maybe a dry one, because it's just about to happen.
You know, really the best thing about this is you have to go out and fish differently every day, you know. And when it gets down to the top 10, I think a lot of it is such a mental game as far as just, you know, working your water and utilizing it and saving some for the next day, and, you know, really not letting the distraction of $100,000 affect your decisions. And, you know, I think that's, if anything, that's what I'm trying to focus on, is like not fishing for any money at all. And, you know, I think that makes you just fish a lot more effectively.
That's Jerry McInnes. I'm Tommy Sanders. Welcome to the Walmart FLW Tour. This is part 2 of a 2-parter from Kerr Reservoir here in Henderson, North Carolina. Part 1 was great. Boogie Atkins, our non-boater champion. Plus these 5 guys who found a way to make it into the final 5, a creative way to do it. Charlie Reed, Robert Graham, Randy Blaukat, Shaw Grigsby, and Dwayne Horton are going to show you some incredible things over the course of the next hour. So watch, you'll learn a lot. Watch, you'll see one of these guys win $100,000. I don't think we can beat that deal.
The thing that's real good is that we're all 0 for tomorrow.
That's right.
Because Charlie, Charlie would be hurting us big time if we had to keep our weight going.
He wanted to quit today. He said, let's end it right here.
Let's cancel the tournament.
I'm the rookie here. I'm with the legend.
Oh, listen to this.
I'm the no-name. Everybody knows these guys. Nobody knows me. Maybe they will after tomorrow.
That's right, which could make you the favorite.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to get the crowd behind me. Everybody pulls for the underdog.
Could anybody say that they caught fish today in a place where there wasn't any water when you first started fishing here?
There's no doubt at all.
Oh, yeah.
In other words, let me explain that. A week ago, or whenever it was.
4 days ago.
4 days ago.
Land.
There was no water, and today you go into a place and actually catch a fish there.
Where it was dry land.
Yeah, around barbecue grills and picnic tables. I mean, seriously, they're in like, you know, 4 and 5 foot of water now, even the barbecue grills and everything. So it's opening up people's backyards to catching fish in.
But you're talking 5 of the best doggone fishermen in the country. There is none of those guys that are slouches. And it would surprise me if we don't see 15, 18, and maybe even in the 20s to win it. but I would be surprised if it was less than 15.
The Walmart FLW Tour is brought to you by Walmart. Always low prices, always. By Ranger Boats, still building legends one at a time. By Evan Root Intruder 150 with fit fuel injection. And by Citgo. Citgo says go.
6:30 a.m. and that's the scene out there on Kerr Reservoir. Our 5 anglers heading out to fish for the championship here on the final day of this FLW tournament event. And Jerry McInnes, these guys, more than any tournament so far, I think it's going to be hard to pick a favorite. Absolutely impossible because they've already proven that they can adapt to changing conditions, and today they got yet another condition to adapt to, and that's the weather outside.
We've got 5 really strong guys, but you know, a couple of them might say that it's too rainy and they'll just come on in.
Yeah,
you think that'll happen?
Yeah, $100,000, I don't think that's going to happen out there today.
I could be making a bad mistake starting off like I am this morning. This is the way I started yesterday morning at work, but we've got a completely different situation this morning. We got overcast skies and rain, wind blowing, not blowing right in here where I am right now, but the wind is blowing. And a smart fisherman would probably go out in the wind with this overcast and rain and throw a spinnerbait or a buzzbait. But I'm either too hard-headed or I'm gonna dance with what brung me. Right now I'm dancing and not catching no fish.
Well, Robert Graham here, he brought a spinnerbait to the big dance, and he's been dancing with that throughout the whole tournament here.
He's about to put a fish in the boat too here right off the bat. Man, it's a small one, but he's using a large spinnerbait. Matter of fact, you can hear the blades clanging there, I believe. And he's actually fishing with a large trailer. He's trying to imitate the big bait fish that he keeps telling us is in this brush. And incidentally, this brush is deep. I know it looks like you might be throwing over there into shallow water. That brush over there is 5, 8, maybe 10 foot deep.
It wasn't that deep yesterday, Jerry. These are gizzard shad. They tell me 60% of the bait fish in here, and they're pretty good size. We saw some of them swimming around the other morning.
What these fish have done here, up until today, I'm not sure what's going on today. That's going to take a little time to figure it out maybe, but up until today, the fish, my fish didn't change. They stayed right where they were. Even though the water came up, the fish did not move. They just stayed in the same position. Just had to fish same place, a little deeper. And a lot of people have moved in with the water to try to stay in the shallower water, but I've stayed right out here in the deeper water. And I don't know if there are new fish coming up, but they're hanging right at the edge of these trees in this deeper water. At least they were. We'll know today here, maybe.
There's what I'm looking for right there. That turns the prettiest shade of green. Pumpkin with green flake in it.
We're going to get a little secret look inside Dwayne Horton's tackle box
pretty?
here.
Dwayne is a premier flipper, boy.
Took a little dye.
And this is a new twist, Tommy.
Well, let's watch this.
That may be a kill. I caught my fish this week. Right there. Of course, everybody has their own little key. I guarantee they're being caught on everything you can think of.
Boy, he's sure been consistent, though, hasn't he?
Well, paint him while you wait. How about that?
Tommy, he's really fishing close by. I don't think he's hardly a mile away from the put-in spot.
Probably the place he was on days 1 and 2.
Yeah,
14-10 the first day, 14-12 the second day. New paint job, and that little frog is ready to go.
It would really look good on camera if I just flipped right out there and caught one, wouldn't it?
I'm switching to darker jig in this overcast conditions with the rain. You know, they have been wanting a real shad-colored type bait, you know, real subtle type deal, but with this rain coming in, and it's the water coming up, I think I'm going to have to get something that will attract them a little bit more down deep in that colored water. And I think I'm going to stay with the jig and the flipping technique today. I know they'll probably catch them on spinner baits, but I just think if I can get 5 hits on a flipping a jig, you know, they're going to weigh more than those spinnerbait fish.
Well, it looks like 3 of the 4 fishermen we've checked in with are flipping here on championship day.
Oh man, and Horton has had a mishap right off the bat.
Too big a hurry. Too big a hurry.
If I can get 5 fish to hit this big half-ounce black and chartreuse jig, you know, they're going to be fairly good-sized fish. I know they are. I'm switching up to a Lucky Strike pork frog. I don't know of anyone that's even fished a pork frog in this tournament yet, but I'm going to be trying it. Probably the best big bass lure there is, a jig and a pork frog, and if there's any time I've ever needed to catch big ones, it's today.
Here we go. I think this is Dwayne Horton, and yes, he is. He's back in business here. He's getting a second chance on this one.
Right in that same place. Yes. Hey, and I found Randy's conversation there interesting about the different baits. Of course, Dwayne was talking about it too. And you know, Tommy, some of those different combinations that they use help to make the bait fall differently. It has a different silhouette in the water, and so these different combinations do play a big part.
I like to not even set the hook on that. It felt like a daggone stick. I hope it keeps this rain up, don't you?
There you go. These guys weren't kidding. They're truly fishing up in the parking lots today.
I've told you. I've told you. Look out, man.
Was it something I said?
Which is the way I only caught 1 fish yesterday on the spinnerbait. It was a 5-pounder. And the day before I only caught 2. So today it only goes for, you just figure it out. You'll catch none today. I'd like to hit about a 5-pounder or a 3-pounder here. Boy, this lake is one of the best in the country for spinnerbaiting, especially in the spring. There he is. Oh, it's a stud muffin. It is a bass. Well, looks like a bass, only smaller.
Well, that was a bass, just a little guy, and that's kind of been the story of today, Jerry. The guy's been catching some fish, but not enough size to where we could really show you a scoreboard yet.
Hey, we're showing you some good fishermen, though, aren't we? Aren't these great? Hey, have you noticed how every week we have new fishermen? Man, this week no Fritz, no Ricky Klum, no Denny Breyer, no Peter.
Another bass.
It just really shows, I think anyway, it really shows that there's a lot of good quality fishermen out there, and boy, they're into this, aren't they?
They're deep. The teams are deep, as they say.
Shaw needs to get a little deeper. He's catching a lot of fish.
And we know they're in there, the big fish.
Boy, I should say, gosh, they've had some great stringers come from this lake in the past.
Like I said, traditionally this lake, you need 15 pounds just to be in the hunt. And if you can get 16 to 18, then you're getting above the rest. And of course, those 20-pound days come fairly often out here. But right now, I don't know what the deal is, whether the fish just haven't had time to adjust to the high water yet, or they're just starting to adjust, but they're really not up here quite yet. And Charlie did a great job yesterday catching basically 21 pounds.
There's the Charlie that Shaw was speaking of, Charlie Reed, who has just been stellar first 2 days of this tournament, and he's trying to get something going today.
He has got something going today, looks like.
Something going on right
I got
now.
him in the brush.
Oh, not the brush, the dreaded brush, Tom.
Oh. I think he's got that one.
Hey, you know what I pointed out last week? Remember when Boogie Atkins caught that fish and hung him up in the brush, and how he worked so hard to keep his line tight.
We can live with that one, can't we?
Yeah, yes, they can live with that. That's a 5-pound fish. But how important it is to keep your line tight when you hang up in this brush and kind of let the fish work themselves out of it.
Randy Blaukat's going to score here, it looks like.
Yeah. About time. Now that's a lot better than waiting 3 hours yesterday to catch one. Went to the jig today a little bit more because the overcast conditions, you know, I think they're going to need a little bit bigger bait. I'm 2 hours ahead of schedule. And you know, you can catch 12 and 13, 14 pounds on a spinnerbait probably pretty easy today, but I think to catch the 18 or 20, you're going to have to be fishing a jig, and I'm hoping this rain will keep a lot of people throwing that spinnerbait all day.
It's kind of interesting. I think what he's talking about there is, as we watch Robert Graham catch a fish, he hopes that it kind of tricks these spinnerbait fishermen into continuing what they're doing, because he thinks flipping's the right thing to do.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, all the fish are being caught in heavy cover. And so heavy line's kind of imperative. In fact, I probably should be using 30. Never bite your line, by the way. Get yourself a good pair of nail clippers and you're ready to go.
Whoa, whoa.
The thunder booms in the tent here, the rain comes down, and if we don't wash away in the next 2 minutes, we hope to have a good conversation with Dwayne Horton, who's out there at Nutbush Creek, and the rain is coming down. And Dwayne, you're doing a good job of keeping yourself alive and not drowning, and you're doing a good job of catching fish. This is going pretty good for the conditions you're in.
Well, I tell you, I should already have a limit of fish, but I got in too big a hurry just about 5 minutes ago and tried to throw one over the side of the boat. It weighed about a couple of pounds and it come off. And I'll tell you, everybody else is wanting it to quit raining. I think I want it to really pour down, because when it really started pouring down, I caught 3 fish just in about a section of about 50 yards. Hey, Dwayne, how deep water are you flipping? Well, some of it is 9 and 10 foot deep. This water has come up so much.
I think that's kind of interesting. As we were talking to somebody about that yesterday, most folks think about 2 and 3 foot of water when they talk about flipping, but this is a different deal, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd like to be flipping that 2 and 3 foot of water, but you can't get back to it. It's the daggone. You got so much woods and stuff, I guarantee you there's a whole lot more fish back next to the bank than they are next to these trees, because they're looking for a place to spawn right now.
So you're just making your flip, and you actually have to feed the line and try to feed
it. You have to
work the lure to the bottom.
You have to pull it, you have to strip out line every time you flip it. You just basically, I'm not really flipping way back into trees, because I think I'm just wasting too much time when you're doing that.
And then what will the strike feel like?
It'll be just a subtle. It'll feel like you're actually pulling up on a root. A lot of these sweet gum trees have a root system on them, and really, the 2 or 3 fish that I've caught this morning seems like they're right on the root. They don't seem to be on the tree part of it.
Would you mind showing us, put the actual bait in your hand, show us exactly what lure you're using?
Oh yeah, okay. I'm using, of course, a hawk jig and a Lunker City piggyback soft plastic pork. It's a 5/8 jig. It's pretty heavy because, you know, you're fishing like I say, I'm fishing 7 to 10 foot deep.
If you drop that on your foot, Dwayne, that would be a bad injury, wouldn't it?
I'll tell you what, I've got chips all over the side of my boat where I've jerked it.
Well, Dwayne, keep fishing there, and we want to ask you a couple more questions. Of course, a lot of our viewers saw you last year when you made our Final Five there at Santee Cooper in South Carolina, but for the benefit of all of us, how long have you been tournament fishing?
How long have I been tournament fishing?
Yes.
About 15 years.
15 years. And do you do more and more every year, or have you sort of reached the point, the number of tournaments that you like to fish, and you're kind of sticking right there?
No, I tell you,
I'm going to slow down on some of my tournament fishing because of this tournament trail right here. You know, a man could really concentrate on fishing this tournament here and really probably make a pretty good living without having to go around and fish so many tournament trails. I fished 5 different tournament trails, and that's the reason I didn't have a chance to practice on this lake, is because I was at another tournament. And I wish that I would have had a little bit more time to spend on this lake, but I'm not sure that it might have really hurt me instead of helped me.
Well, good. Dwayne Horton out there in Nutbush Creek, 3 fish in the box already, so that's great. A good start for championship day here on the Walmart FLW Tour. And Dwayne Horton is a guy, we talked about him yesterday, Jerry, you know, a pure flipping fisherman. Right. He will flip all day long no matter what the conditions are, and we thought if anybody had a chink in their armor, it might be Dwayne Horton because of the rain, because of these conditions.
Cloudy weather.
A lot of cloudy weather. People think the fish are going to move away from those shallower spots where you might flip, but it doesn't seem to affect
Well,
it.
you know what? I think it's kind of like he said. There's so many fish out there that there's going to be a few in every place. And Dwayne, boy, he's good at that. Oh, if you'll notice, he's just like a machine. His mechanics and his flipping technique is just so smooth and fast, and he covers nothing gets away from him.
Let's try way back in there. So I can keep from hitting that limb.
Boy, something you don't hear these guys talk about a whole lot is how hard they concentrate on feeling the lure, and in this wind and rain and in this depth of water, it's twice as hard to do, but boy, they're good at it.
There he is. That's a keeper. Woo, baby. Thank you, Lord Jesus. One little guy. Clear out the shrubbery. Let's get the little board to make sure. Oh yeah. Good solid 15 plus.
The Walmart FLW Tour is brought to you by Walmart. Always low prices, always. By Ranger Boats, still building legends one at a time. By Fixed Fuel Injection, the best of all worlds. And by Chevy, the most dependable, long-lasting trucks on the road.
Some tough fishing so far today, but we do have some unofficial scores for you. Of course, Dwayne Horton in the lead, 3 fish, about 9 pounds. Charlie Reed, 2 fish, 7 pounds per second. Robert Graham, 3 fish for 5 pounds. Randy Blaukat has 1 fish, 3 pounds. 1 fish also for Shaw Grigsby, about 1 pound.
And everyone talks about catching these fish around gum trees. I'm very anxious to go to see a gum tree that's out of the water and see what the base of it looks like.
Thank you, Lord.
Going out now to talk with Shaw Grigsby, who is, where exactly are you, Shaw?
Well, probably lost.
You don't know exactly where you are, huh?
Well, I tell you what I did. This is a place that I fished years ago, and when we had high water, we had a tournament here, and I came up here and fished in this creek. It's just a little arm, and I really don't know the name of it. In fact, I really don't know whether it has a name, but
It all gets flooded, Shaw. It looks alike, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. You lose all your sense of where you are, but I know I'm upriver past Eastland Creek. I do know that, and it's just kind of a nice little place. Got a lot of flooded timber, but the main thing is it's got some stained water, whereas down there in the lower half, most of it's real clear.
So up here, I'm in the stained water.
Tell everyone why you're looking for stained water.
Well, I was hoping to find some bigger fish in the clear water.
I've been down there for the last 3 days, and I've caught 1 5-pounder, or actually, and in practice I caught 1 5-pounder. I was just hoping to come up here and
better my stringer. And right now, all I'm catching is little ones, so it may have been a bad choice, but
you kind of have to live with your choices, and you know inside that the big fish do like to live in this off-color and stained water, and you also know that they bite a little easier in the off-color and stained water.
What is your style of fishing right now?
right now I'm flipping. I'm just, well, pitching and flipping in the...
Everything from the sweet gums to these little, what they call river birches, and pine trees, lay-down trees. I just jerked one across the top of a lay-down. I thought I was kind of hung in it. Turned out it was a fish. So I'm just fishing anything, and preferably point structure. So stuff that's out on the points tend to be a little bit better. And then the sides I haven't caught a whole lot, but then you go all the way to the back again and get into the back of a pocket, and you tend to catch some back there also. So there's kind of two main things, the points and the backs of pockets, that seem to be holding them.
Shaw, let me ask you, how many days did you spend pre-fishing on this lake?
I didn't get but just Monday, Tuesday, and I only got part of those days.
Well, you got to wonder if even if that much time is worth it if you got a lake that's different every day you come out to fish it. Does it do you any good to pre-fish when you know the conditions are going to change so much?
You're right, and of course nobody knew that this was going to happen, but...
It is incredible to watch how fast this water's rising and how it's changing every day. Fortunately, the fish aren't changing too much. They're still relating to basically the same structure that I caught them on the first day of the tournament. I think that there's a lot more that have moved up, you know, and back in, because I'm starting to catch them back in, which I wasn't able to do in the first day of the tournament.
Well, 5 bites already. You got to feel fairly good, even though they were small fish.
Well, you know, the first two were short fish, just little 12, 13 inches.
The next one could have been a keeper. I lost him, but if he was, he'd have been barely. And then the next two have been keepers, and they're just £1.5 so. Well, we'll just keep trying.
All right, that's Shaw Creek.
Shaw, wait, I just wanted to tell you one more thing. Tommy and I have not got wet here in the tent at all.
In fact, it's kind of nice
you
and dry.
You guys know how to hurt somebody, don't you? We'll get wet at some point today.
I'll bring you some water in, okay?
Okay, we're looking forward to it.
Shaw Grigsby, don't count him out yet. He's got a couple of small fish.
Oh, there's lots of time to go.
Lots of time left, and he's a smart guy. He can get the job done.
With this wind blowing this bad, I'll probably ought to run to the back of this thing and work out, because it's going to make it impossible. I'm going to run into, oh, nice fish. I'll take him. That little fella. Settle down, settle down. I get you. Thank you.
Back out now to Dwayne Horton, and Jerry, the spot here looks awfully familiar.
Hey, and he is fishing the edges. Some of these other guys are back in. He's right out on the edge, and I don't, you know, it must be making some difference. Not only that, all of these fish are real quality fish.
Oh, it's got me hung up. I know it. Come on, baby. Golly, that's a good fish. Daggone reels messed up and everything else. Man, I can't believe it. Whoa, what a struggle. Man. God, I swear that was a struggle. Man, that fish. Not very big, but I swear he's mean. Golly.
For a guy fishing for $100,000, you got a pretty good attitude here, Jerry.
Boy, if you got all that, that'd be good.
We sneak up on Randy Blaukat, who's landing only his second fish. I should remind you that on this lake, or reservoir, there's always time to hit the old jackpot.
Now, Tommy, if my memory doesn't fail me, last week we tried to do a real nice interview with Randy, kind of talking about his career, and ran into a bit of a roadblock.
Yeah, we had everything ready to go, and all of a sudden Randy's boat floated away. So he lost his boat. Right in the middle, we had everything good and ready to go, but now I think we've got everything worked out. The boat's been retrieved.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen right now.
I started just like a lot of people that wanted to get into professional sports, you know, as far as that's all I've ever wanted to do, you know. In grade school, I was reading Bassmaster, you know, dreaming about being a professional fisherman, and I really, you know, was fortunate in order to have that direction early on, because I really focused everything growing up doing that. You know, I sacrificed a lot of activities everyone did in junior high and high school. You know, I had a little 14-foot flat bottom with a 9-horse motor that I, you know, fished in high school with, and, you know, just upgraded from there, and, you know, started out fishing, you know, smaller local tournaments, and really just planning and envisioning, you know, a career as a professional bass angler. Come on, stay on there. The key to success is having so much energy behind the desire that you want to do something, because really in the sport, if you have the desire, that's the only variable it takes, because the desire will enable you to overcome all the other variables. You know, I only need 3 more hits. That's the thing. I can't even really start thinking in terms of a limit. I just got to think it one at a time. I mean, I've got a little over 2 hours to get 3 hits, which is plenty of time. I just got to find the right bush to put the bait into and hope they're there. That's the thing about it. It doesn't take long. I mean, it just takes a couple casts. So I'm not really discouraged. I just know that I got to make 3 casts from now in the next 2 hours to be the right ones.
I always look bigger on TV anyway. Real life, I'm a little guy.
Well, in real life, Shaw, like all these guys, is super personable, a real great guy to be around.
Short, but I can set a hook.
And set a hook is what he's doing right now. I think this will be his 4th fish, but doggone, they're small.
Yeah, sometimes.
Stop. Sometimes you just got to tough it out in the wind to catch these fish. All the other boats are across the way in the calm side. We're going to sit over here and beat ourselves up on the windy side, and hopefully it's going to be productive. They're not big ones, but boy, they're making me happy, every one of them. 1 3/4 pounds. So we're up to a little over 7.5 pounds.
7.5 pounds is not going to do it for Shaw Grigsby. It's not going to do it for any one of these guys, because Dwayne Horton has been really working hard. That's his limit right there. He's got 5 fish, and as you say, Jerry, they're good fish too.
Maybe dyeing his bait is doing something.
That could be the big secret that works out.
You are right, though. These are quality fish. He's catching no small fish at all. Quite frankly, Shaw and Robert Graham, most of their fish are a little bit smaller. And like I said before, he is right out on the edge there, and I don't know if that has a lot to do with it, but he's catching small fish.
You can see right there Shaw Grigsby signaling to his fans there that he's only got 4, and they're small ones.
Hey, Randy, I wanted to ask one more thing of you. We have a nice crowd here, a crowd that didn't hear what you had to say yesterday, that was kind of directed towards the environment, and I would really like for you to repeat it.
Well, the thing about it, Jerry, you know, being a pro fisherman, we get the chance to travel all over the country, and we really get to see the, you know, environmental impact that, you know, a lot of things are having on, you know, on our earth. And by doing that, it just makes us a lot more sensitive to what's going on when we see, you know, different types of destruction, you know, loss of habitat, you know, different types of pollution. You know, it really frustrates you because it's a direct threat to the sport we love so much. And, you know, that's one of the things that I've always tried to teach at seminars is, you know, probably more importantly than becoming a better fisherman, it's becoming a good steward for the earth, so somebody will have something left to fish in 100 years from now.
Good luck, Randy Blaukat, out there, and we'll see him at the weigh-in momentarily. Don't go away.
Got 45 minutes to get 3 hits. The tournament still can be won. Gotten 3 hits in 45 minutes, a lot before.
Also fishing in the Eastland Creek area is Charlie Reed. And Charlie, thanks for talking to us one more time. And we got some business to take care of with you. Got a lot of folks, a lot of your fans in the audience here, and one of them is ready to ask you a question right now.
Charlie, I've got Jim Gage from Windsor, North Carolina, that has a question for you.
Charlie, that impressive catch you had yesterday, of 20 pounds. Did it come out of Eastland Creek, and what were you using?
Yeah, they came out of Eastland, every one of them. We're still in here today, and they come on a Zoom brush hog, is what I'm catching them on.
Zoom brush hog.
Right.
That's what we're doing today, is that correct, Charlie?
Same thing.
Same deal.
Yep.
Charlie, Tim wants to know if it's the left or the right
Side of Eastland Creek.
The right side.
Man, he's particular. Charlie, he just left the tent.
Just what?
He just left the tent heading this way.
Okay, very good.
Good fish, good fish.
Good fish and fish number 5 there for Sean Grigsby. That makes a limit. And he's got about 9 pounds worth of fish there, so he's unofficially in second place, just ahead of Robbie Graham there. But Dwayne Horton, such a big lead right now, 5 fish, about 16 pounds. So the contest now, Jerry, opens up for who's going to get into second place.
And of course, you know, our weights are unofficial. You and I are doing it with a pencil and paper here. But really, here's a great race for second place. And look, we keep talking about first place gets $100,000, but fifth place gets 10, fourth gets 15, third place gets 20, and second place 40,000 bucks, man.
There's going to be some jockeying for position going on before we're done with it today. And again, we're so thankful to everybody here at the Vance County Tourism here in Henderson, North Carolina, for showing us a great time here on Kerr Reservoir.
Great time.
But that's the last of the fish. Now I got to get a big one. Actually, you need to give this guy a raise. He's good. He's good.
One thing to watch is every one of these good fishermen has a little quitting spot, a place to fish right near the ramp when it's just about check-in time.
Well, I'd like to win $100,000 the last flip. You know what? Wouldn't that be something to brag about the rest of your life?
Had a lot of fun, caught some fish, and had a shot at it anyway. Down to the last second. You always know if you can get that one big fish, that, you know, 6, 7, 8 pounder, you can be right there for $100,000.
Last flip. Go ahead and get your life jacket on. We're gone. I can't stand it no longer.
Last cast. Is on there. Go, we're running out of time. Sorry, fish. We're running out of time. Might get penalized a pound, but it's worth it. Let's go. Man, I saw one little birch tree, and I said I had about 30 seconds to cast to it, and as soon as it hit the bottom, the line jumped. I set the hook, and I was really worried because we only had like a minute to get to weigh-in, and there's a pound penalty if you're late. But I think we're going to be right on time, but I think I came up 2 fish short. That just goes to show you can never give up. I mean, we had no more than 15 seconds to fish there. I mean, and I was really pushing it at that. You can never give up.
Never give up. You talk about last-minute heroics. That was, you saw it. Last-second heroics by Randy blaukat, but true to form, the guy who was the best flipping fisherman seemed to do the best out there today in a heavy, heavy rain. Dwayne Horton really gave us a show as our boats pull into the parking lot here at Walmart in Henderson, North Carolina. We are ready for the weigh-in. As a matter of fact, where we had the weigh-in last year is covered up by water. The rising waters of Kerr Reservoir, so everyone's happy to be high and dry and ready to go with our weigh-in. This is, I guess, the biggest tournament you've ever finished this high in. It's got to make you feel awfully good today.
Oh man, yeah, I'm proud of what I did. I went out and got my 5 today. I never got bit big, but I tried, and I had fun all week, I can tell you that.
Tell us how you caught all your fish this week, or the majority of it.
I caught everything this week on a spinner bait. It was a hog collar spinner bait, and the big thing about it was I used a fluke, a Zoom fluke behind it, and trying to match the bait. The water I was fishing was real clear, and it's hard to catch fish clear water spinner bait, but it worked for me. It just didn't pay out for the big ones is all.
All right, another big hand for Robert Graham. Done a great job. Robert, stay with us. Shaw Grigsby is still our leader now. And we're going to go back to Charlie Reed. We've gone all the way around now. And Charlie, all you got to have now is 15 ounces of fish to stay in this thing. 15 ounces of fish. Charlie is out. Charlie, big hand for Charlie Reed. Charlie, I thought you were trying to run everybody off with those 2 big fish first thing out of the box, but you really didn't have a choice, did you?
I was trying to run them off, but it didn't work.
They stayed in it, and Charlie, you've done a lot in the world of bass fishing. I mean, you're the winner of the Classic and a lot of other things, but despite all the big things you've done, this has been a big week for you, hasn't it?
Well, it's been a great week. Just to compete with the people I've competed with, a lot of them are my heroes, and I didn't even start doing this till I was 50 years old, but there's still a lot of them are 20 and 30-year-old heroes of mine, by golly, and I just love to fish with them. I learn something every time I go, and I want to say one thing about FLW. I just started fishing it this year for the first time, but I'm very, very proud of these people. They put on a heck of a show. I'm coming back. I'm going to fish every one of them here on until I'm 90 years old, I hope.
All right. I hope we're here to see it. Another big hand for Charlie Reed. Shaw Grigsby is still your leader now with 8 pounds and 12 ounces. We're going to go now to Randy Blaukat. And Randy, what you got to have is 12 ounces of fish. Randy's just weighed 2 fish now, remember. Just weighed 2 fish. We saw that big one he caught up there in the bushes. 12 ounces is all it's going to take to stay in contention for the $100,000 first prize. Well, that ought to do it. 2 pounds, 14 ounces. Here's our new leader, Randy Blaukat. Stay in the front of the boat, Randy. Randy Blaukat now 10 pounds, 15 ounces. All right, and that eliminates Shaw Grigsby. Dwayne Horton has weighed in 2 fish, and he's got to have 2 pounds and 10 ounces to stay in contention. And then there were 2 pounds, 10 ounces. They won't open their mouths, he says. That ought to do it. 4 pounds, 8 ounces, Dwayne Horton. Man still got his eyes on that $100,000 first prize. Randy Blaukat has weighed in 3 fish, and he's got to come up with 2 pounds right now to stay in this thing. Randy? Oh. He's going to congratulate our champion. We're going to let our champion... We're going to let our champion breathe oxygen for just a minute. We'll talk to Randy here. Come on up, Randy. We're going to let Dwayne savor this moment for just a second. Randy, you're one of our heroes out there, and you've given us such good information, such good ways to catch fish all week, and we appreciate the teaching. Did you have a feeling when this week started that this might be a special week for you?
Yeah, I wound up catching the fish here a lot different than I had been catching them in practice. I was catching them pretty good on a floating worm in practice, but it turned out I didn't even get a bite in the tournament on it. I wound up catching them flipping a rattleback jig with a Guido bug behind it for almost all my fish, and a Texas rig, a Lucky Strike Biffle Mega Craw. And just what Shaw said about you couldn't really, get into an area and get comfortable. It's like any tree in the lake could have a fish on it. And I fished all over this lake, this week. And that's really sort of unusual for me because normally I like to get in the area and stay, but I didn't have one area. I just ran around and ran around.
We're fortunate to have you. Another big hand for Randy Blaukat. Let's bring up the champ from Knoxville, Tennessee, Dwayne Horton. Let's hear it. Come on. Hold him up, Dwayne. There we go. Take a look at it. 3.8. All right. Dwayne Horton, he's the man. Let's bring him out here and talk to him. I'll take that for you, Dwayne. Set that right over there. Dwayne, I know it's got to be an exciting moment for you. You've been close before out here on the Walmart FLW Tour. I want to know what you think of this win and what you think this win is going to do for you.
Well, it's going to make my wife real happy.
The Walmart FLW Tour is brought to you by Walmart. Always low prices. Always. By Ranger Boats. Still building legends one at a time. By Johnson Fast Strike 150 with fixed fuel injection. And by Chevy, the most dependable, long-lasting trucks on the road.
I think I'm going to start going to tournaments and not practice and just go fishing. I swear, I can't believe that I've won this tournament.
So if you can flip as well as this man, Dwayne Horton, maybe you don't need to practice. There he is, working that edge, doing what he did to have this great victory. That's our Fujifilm flashback today. Well, tell us what you caught those fish on and the technique you were using.
I was flipping a hawk jig, 5/8 ounce, and I was trailing it with a Lunker City piggyback, the big piggyback. It's a pretty good size. Normally, on a lake that you got a lot of 4 and 5 pounders, I like to use something real big, and it's real big and bulky, and I was dipping it in dye to make it a chartreuse color. But they seemed to like it pretty well. I didn't lose but one fish today. I thought it was really going to hurt me, but as it turned out, it didn't hurt me at all.
All right, we talked about we're going to take the roof off the tent. Now's the time. We want to hear it. For Dwayne Horton from Knoxville, Tennessee. He's the man.